2 weeks ago, Jean spoke about the practice of giving. And she also mentioned this essay by Dōgen Zenji, The Four Methods of Guidance of Bodhisattvas, who mentions giving as the first of four practices Bodhisattva practitioners engage in. So I felt like taking this up last week, and I talked a little bit about the four practices of Bodhisattvas. Briefly, they are giving or generosity, kind speech, beneficial action, and what Dōgen Zenji in English calls identity action. And then today I wondered a little. I thought maybe some very dedicated Zen practitioner could say, that's very strange. Why doesn't Dōgen Zenji mention the practice of Zazen, practice of meditation? And I simply want to say this. Of course, I can't ask Dōgen Zenji, but I think he took it for granted that Bodhisattva practitioners, in my eyes, that's all of you, practice Zazen or practice meditation. Because in practice of Zazen, we can really practice letting go. And this prepares our body-mind to engage into the wonderful practices of giving, of kind speech, of helpful activity, and identity action. But it also works the other way around. In daily life, to practice giving, kind speech, beneficial action, and identity action, it, so to speak, prepares the ground. It opens us up to the practice of Zazen. So in other words, it's all connected. I want to mention this because it feels very organic to me that today I'd like to say a few words about Zazen / meditation practice. That is, I want to bring up some words, some teachings by Suzuki Roshi, and then maybe say a few words myself. So in Zen mind, beginner's mind, there's actually a pretty famous passage on the breath, on breathing. Maybe you know it. I just want to read the first paragraph. So Suzuki Roshi says, when we practice Zazen, our mind always follows our breathing. When we inhale, the air comes into the inner world. When we exhale, the air goes out to the outer world. The inner world is limitless, and the outer world is also limitless. We say inner world or outer world, but actually there's just one whole world. In this limitless world, our throat is like a swinging door. The air comes in and goes out like someone passing through a swinging door. If you think, I breathe, the I is extra. There is no you to say I. What we call I is just a swinging door which moves when we inhale and when we exhale. It just moves. That is all. When your mind is pure and calm enough to follow this movement, there is nothing, no I, no world, no mind, no body, just a swinging door. Suzuki Roshi. So the way I read this, I would say Suzuki Roshi describes a journey, a trip into the depth of our mind. Let's call the vehicle we use to go on this journey meditation. And the route we follow, the direction we take, is indicated by our breath. Mind, I suggest to you, is largely an unknown territory. Mind is a huge ocean. Suzuki Roshi speaks of an unlimited world. Most of us, and I don't mean this in any way critical, it cannot be helped. Most of us only swim around the surface of the ocean. We think, we see images, we hear sounds, we have emotions, and then we think this is all there is, and we call this mind. Better even my mind. However, I suggest to you this is just the surface. And as long as we stay on the surface, we don't know how deep and how vast, how unlimited the ocean of mind, of your mind, really is. Also, I think staying on the surface all the time can be pretty exhausting because we need a lot of energy to stay up there amongst the ever-changing waves. Meditation can be compared to diving, deep sea diving into the ocean of mind. And again, in order to dive, in order to have a direction for the unknown territory, we follow the breath. Breath indicates direction. It simply leads us into the deep. So of course, I see meditation, I see our Zazen practice as a process, a living, organic process. So over and over again, we actually have to practice meditation on the mind's surface. The surface of the ocean of mind, as you know, I guess, can be quite stormy at times. They are the winds of ever-changing thoughts and emotions. And when we get tossed around by our thoughts and emotions, when we get pulled into one direction, then another, we can remember. We can remember. We can always come back to our breath. And after a while, the winds of this inner world begin to settle. And at that point, many people seem to stop in their meditation process, which I understand, because after all, experiencing some sustained inner calm, some peace of mind is a wonderful gift in this crazy world. However, there's more to it. There's the whole ocean, the deeper layers of the ocean of your body-mind. However, if nobody ever tells us about these deeper layers, we might think mistakenly that we already have come to the end of our journey. So I suggest to you, let's allow ourselves to sink, to dive, to be submerged, to be immersed. Please, just for a second, imagine an ocean. Even if it's quite stormy on the surface, if you dive just a little deeper into it, it gets much quieter, calmer. It's actually peaceful underneath the waves. And now, why not imagine you could breathe like a fish? Imagine you had gills. You can dive even deeper. And please look around you. All you see now is vast, quiet space. Yes, of course, sometimes a fish swims by. A thought floats through the ocean of mind. But you don't lose the vision anymore. That is the experience of vastness and great peace. Suzuki Roshi puts it like this. We say inner world and outer world, but actually there's just one whole, limitless world. To evoke a slightly different language, there is the surface structure of the human mind, waves of thoughts, emotions, impressions, dreams. But when we dive deeper, we can directly experience, directly see deep structure of mind. In Tibetan Buddhism, they are a little more explicit on this issue compared to Zen. They say, some Tibetan Buddhists say that this deep structure of the human mind has two qualities. One is luminosity, and the other is cognition. Cognition, I think, is really easy to understand. It means knowing. It's quality of the mind to know things. The meaning is not in the things, it's in the mind. I give you an example. Sometimes, when we could still do so, I sat in the Zendo here in Berlin, especially in summer, with windows wide open. And sometimes a small very distant noise touched my mind, far away. However, immediately I knew an airplane. Nothing extraordinary, you might think, and because it actually is not so extraordinary, this capacity of cognition of the human mind can be easily overlooked because it functions like this, directly, in a way we could say unconsciously. But we can see it and we can realize it. And when we do, we actually get a taste of the vastness of human mind. It reaches all the way to the sky. Luminosity is the second quality we can discover. That's a little harder. Let me put it like this. The deep structure of the mind functions like a mirror. It simply reflects. It reflects like a mirror in an open and vast way without any judgment. The mirror of mind equally reflects whatever it is that appears before it. But because appearances are so strong, and because we are usually only engaged in appearances, we miss seeing the mirror. So, what is it that's being reflected in the mirror of mind? Well, simply our experiences of swimming on the surface. The usual stuff, thoughts, emotions, sensory impressions, our impressions of being or having a body, and also the impression of holding on to the idea of a separate I. All this is constantly reflected in the mirror. I feel Shunryu Suzuki puts it this way. When your mind is pure and calm enough to follow this movement, there is nothing, no I, no world, no mind, nor body, just a swinging door. When we actually realize this mirror-like quality of the mind, we realize that there is no separate I, no separate world, no separate mind, nor a separate body. I think this is what Shunryu Suzuki means when he says there's nothing. Clinging, believing in, grasping, however you want to put it, clinging to the sense of separate self isolates us. It is a source of deep suffering. It doesn't allow us to see the ocean. But the I is extra, as Shunryu Suzuki puts it. The I would say, is just a small fish that swims around in the vast ocean, which you are. So please allow yourself to dive. Please allow yourself to be a vast ocean. Thanks very much for your gift of listening. Thank you.